Good evening, everyone. Yeah, that's how I feel, a little jet lag. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for attending this evening, and I'd like to bring this regular council meeting of the Town of Lincoln Council to order. First item on the agenda then is the national anthem, and I would ask that you all rise. For the benefit of those of you in the audience, I'd like to do a quick roll call. On my far left is Councillor McPherson, Councillor Diane Majima, Councillor John Pachariva, Councillor Wayne McMillan, and on my right, Deputy Mayor Councillor Rob Foster, Councillor Dave Thompson, Councillor Lynn Timmers, Councillor Tony Brunet. And for the very first time, and her very first meeting, I'd like to introduce Carrie Beattie, who is our Senior Communication Advisor, and we welcome Carrie, and very, very pleased to have you and your skills. In the back row, we have our Fire Chief Greg Hudson, Director of Planning Kathleen Dale, and Deputy Clerk Gary Del Bianco. Councillors, are there any declarations of interest? There being none, are there any adjustments to the agenda? Mr. CAO.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'd like to add a brief in-camera update on a human resources matter.
Very good. Everybody heard that? Sounds like it's essential. Thank you very much, Mr. CAO. Adoption of the previous council minutes. We're looking at the minutes of October 17th, 2016. I have a motion moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Foster, that the minutes of the October 17th, 2016 regular meeting of council be adopted as circulated. Are there any questions, any errors or omissions? Your pleasure on the motion? The motion is carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes of October 17th? There being none, we'll move on to the mayor's report. I'll be very short this evening. I want to acknowledge the Remembrance Day ceremonies that started on Sunday, the services in Beamsville, and also at the Albright Center, as well as the Cenotaph, and thank Councillor Brunet for representing council at those events. And I'll be attending the Remembrance Day services in Jordan on Thursday, November the 11th. I had an interesting afternoon. I actually went to an afternoon play today at the Southridge Community Church. It was called the Fighting Days, and it was all about the women's suffrage movement and the right to vote. I couldn't imagine anything being more timely, given everything that's been going on in the community. Last night's candidates meeting and the American election today that seems to have absorbed us all. Anyway, it was just a wonderful, wonderful production. Great, it was a great story and very well, very, very, very well performed. It was quite excellent. They're going to be touring the Niagara region from November 7th to 12th, and I've asked our executive assistant, Andrea, to make sure that their next year play, which will be on the Welland Canal, becomes part of the common calendar for the Canada 150. I want to speak a little bit about the delegation that went from here, from the town of Lincoln, supported by your tax dollars, to Holland. And we left, we were gone for 7 days. And we had quite an agenda, starting on the Monday with a trip to the flower market. And we ended our trip with a meeting with the Canadian ambassador to Holland on Friday. In between there, we visited Lenslingerland, which is a community that is really only about 12 years old. The property was purchased by the municipality, if you will. All the greenhouses were taken down. They've completely rebuilt it. It is so tight in terms of the goals and objectives as our Center for Excellence with different terminologies, but it's all there. The greenhouses, the university teaching, the research station, all businesses that relate to innovation technology relating to horticulture and floriculture. We have a proactive plan here in Lincoln for economic development. It's very fitting that the BIA is here tonight. We're looking at community renewal and revitalization. That's where we have to be 10, 15 years down the road. And certainly building the Center of Excellence for Agriculture is part of that. It's really the ground floor, if you will. And it involves growing the sectors within the ag cluster. And the sector in this case for us is horticulture and floriculture. It is one of the most vibrant industries that we have in Lincoln. The region, to support that, has selected agriculture as a cluster for economic expansion across the region. The Ontario Greenhouse Alliance has identified growth targets for the industry. This all fits in very, very nicely with where we're going here. So for the town of Lincoln, we'll be preparing a report for the Lincoln community, the region of Niagara, the province, and the feds. I spoke yesterday with MP Vance Spadaway about this on our observations. We will include recommendations to enable jobs and production growth over the next 10 to 15 years. The last such report was completed in 2004. And there was a complete downturn after that in regard to the dollar and just the economy in general. So it'll be very interesting to see how things compare today. It was a very, very, very positive introduction for us to economies outside of Canada, and one that really is such a good fit for us. One of the important findings to date is the dependency that other communities, other like communities in the world, place on data collection and evaluation. They measure everything in Holland. You can find the impact of every decision out there somewhere. They start it right at the beginning. They start something, they measure, they measure, they measure. They can tell you exactly what the return on investment is of every investment they've made in regard to horticulture and floriculture. So our community partners included the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce, Brock University, Niagara College, and VRIC, and we'll be meeting with them. We'll start next week, the CAO has told me. So just to carry that on through the budget process and tied to policy planning, economic development will be a significant initiative for us. It is one of our main goals. We haven't given it very much attention. That's going to change. As a council, we will continue to seek out experiences beyond Niagara to validate our future plan. If you live in Lincoln, where citizens work very hard to be a good neighbor, and you go away and you come back and you realize what a great place you live, and where we have children who are encouraged to achieve their very best, I would say that things are positive for Lincoln. We need to make it happen. We need to work hard to make it happen. There's no regional councilors report tonight except to say that probably the most significant announcement that was made over the last week was the appointment of Mr. Carmen D'Angelo to be the new CAO at the region. Councilor reports. Let me do this at random. Who would like to start tonight? Just put up your hands and I'll choose you. Councillor McMillan, then Councillor Najima.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to give a brief update on what's happening with the Canada 150 Committee. We've had a very, very busy 2 days, a Monday and Tuesday of this week. Members of the committee visited every single school in Lincoln, and we met with large groups, and we met with small groups, we met with student councils, we met with the teaching staff, and all of it was extremely positive. And we presented to each school 80 tulip bulbs, and they were given to the school in order for them to plant their tulip garden. In some cases, we got to the school and we found out that the garden had already been prepared and the children were just so anxious to get a hold of the bulbs and get them into the ground. At one school, they have planted the entire front part of their school, and the 80 bulbs that we gave them certainly wasn't enough for the bed, so we gave them more. And the other schools have indicated to us where they're going to put the gardens, and in every case, they are going to be very, very prominent. So in the spring, when you drive by any one of the schools in Lincoln, there will be just a glorious display of these white and red tulips all across the town. And I can't say enough about the children and how anxious they were and how engaged they were and how enthusiastic they were about what they were planning to do. And it certainly brought home the message of the 150th anniversary, and it's going to be just a marvelous year. And it's been a really, truly great experience to get the whole thing started right now. And of course, this has to be done now before the centennial or sesquicentennial year, because the bulbs have to go in the ground now for the spring display. So it was an exhausting couple of days, but it was really, really worthwhile. And I'm very pleased to have been part of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your efforts, all of you that were involved in that. It's exciting to get the community involved. Councillor Njima.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. Last night, most people were at the Chamber's All Candidates meeting. It was at the 20 Valley Golf and Country Club. It was filled to capacity and then some. After 250-something people, they had to lock the doors, and Mayor Easton just got in at the last minute. There was some spillover into the back room. CDTV was there live. Globe and Mail was there. The Canadian Press and more. I forget who else.
Luke.
Pardon?
Luke.
CHCH was there. That's right. That's right. Well, I apologize. That's right. He was standing right beside me. That's why. Yes. I couldn't see the forest for the trees. That's why it was. Everything was on time and went well. All the candidates had significant time to speak. And it was a great feat for Lisa and Denise of the Chamber to be able to pull this together at the last minute. And then last week I attended on your behalf, Mayor Easton, announcement at Brock University with the Minister of Science and Economic Development, Navdeep Bains, and the Ontario Minister for Advanced Education and Skills, Deb Matthews. And the announcement was $26 million in research and development funding money for Brock University and Niagara College. At Niagara College, they're getting $10.25 million for a research and innovation laboratory, training facilities, and an incubation space for student entrepreneurial engagement. And at Brock University, they're getting $16 million for a learning and innovation center and to do energy efficiency improvements to their current infrastructure and lower their carbon footprint at the university. So more good news. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. Just a couple of quick things. First of all, before we took off for the Netherlands, I attended an OSUM meeting in up in Blue Mountain. The conference this year for OSUM is going to be there. Fantastic facility. I was quite impressed. I'd never been up there before. My comment to the local councillor was that it almost to some degree felt a little bit like Disneyland with the way that it's set up and the downtown atmosphere and stuff like that they've developed up there. So anyway, I'm hoping everybody gets an opportunity to consider the OSUM conference for next year. Second thing is I've been asked to chair an AMO task force. Of course, I was elected onto that board last year, but I've been asked to chair what's called the task force on digital government. Myself and my co-chair from the City of Guelph, Kathy Downer, the two of us will be chairing that and working with people from across the province to essentially work with the government on where digital government is going to, and hopefully can provide some input on it. And my companion to the right here, Mr. Thompson, and I have been in many discussions about where we see this going, and I'm hoping our council can help provide input to this as well as we're going down the road. And just the third thing, I know we're going to be doing up notes on the Netherlands trip. I downloaded tonight from my camera about 700 photos that I took. So, mind you, it ranged from beautiful flowers to all of the people that we met with while we were there. So, anyway, I'm looking forward to putting that into a presentation as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Foster. We're very pleased that you're part of that AMO committee. That's going to be of benefit to us, no question. We took about 300 and odd pictures in today, and I could bring you we have a memory stick, and Andrea's putting it all into the database, so we don't want to lose any of those great pictures. Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. I attended on Friday night the Bruce Trail Club potluck dinner for landowners down at the Rockaway Community Center. Quite an event, packed house, and they got two new members to the Bruce Trail Club, and myself and my wife out of the event, so worked out very well. Just a comment about last night's candidates meeting. It was quite an event. Kudos to the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce and also to John Armstrong for his moderation. I think he did a really good job, and it I think it just speaks to Lincoln, and that we can host an event like that with major media coming in and a major event in our riding, and we happen to host the debate. So hats off to those who organized it and put it together. And finally, the BIA has been busy, and we have been meeting to draft our strategic plan, which you will hear tonight. So our steering committee is here and ready to do it.
That's great. It just took 2 years for you to be able to make that great statement. Good for you. All right, now we have Councillor Timmers.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. It's been quite a busy week for sure. And last week, last Thursday evening, I attended West Niagara Affordable Housing. It was a new meeting, they're forming a new committee. It was an information session, I should say, and they released their new strategic plan that they've put together, and they're looking for members to join this new committee. There'll be more coming down the road. I'll keep you informed around that. And what else? The school visits. I know Councillor McMillan spoke to this already, but I just wanted to put a little comment as well. I absolutely loved the last 2 days of visiting 10, well, it was 10 schools in total. I didn't make it to all 10, but I made most of them. And the students and the staff, they were just outstanding. It was really, really enjoyable. They were wonderful students at all of the schools, and the excitement is just growing and growing. I can't wait to see those tulips. And what else? The candidates' night as well. I was there. Very well organized by the chamber. Very impressed with how it was run, and it was a long evening, but very interesting. What else? I attended the Remembrance Day ceremony at the Cenotaph in Beamsville on Sunday. It was a very good turnout. There were a lot of people there, and Councillor Brunet did an excellent job speaking on our behalf of you, Mayor Easton, and the council. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Thompson.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I won't go too deep into the delegation to Holland, but certainly I was very impressed with the setup they have in Lenslingerland, and we were welcomed very nicely by the mayor and vice mayor. You're going to be hearing a lot about the triple helix, which is also referred to actually by other folks at the university as the Golden Triangle, which is the business, government, and education pieces to success. Certainly, like I said, we'll be bringing some more information back in regards to that because it's very detailed. And but we really had quite an exciting week. That was one of the highlights for me, and certainly the visit and meeting with the ambassador and the trade commissioner, who is extremely excited to work with us to develop some more exports and investment here. So I was very, very pleased with it, and it went very well. Everything is in a large scale in Holland, in their horticulture, to say the least. So there'll be lots of very interesting information coming forward. I was also at the all candidates meeting last night and wanted to thank the chamber, and certainly it was a very warm evening in there. There was so many people in there. It was quite toasty and made for really interesting listening for sure. So thanks very much.
You're welcome. And I'll just add to Councillor Thompson's comments. This is a gift that was given to us, the town of Lincoln, from the mayor of Lenslingerland. This town has a population of 50,000, and they actually have a council chamber or municipal building that looks like a greenhouse. So this is there's a man and a woman here, so that would be Mayor Van Steet, Mayor Van Steet, Peter Van Steet, and I guess the woman would be me. It's a symbol of cooperation, and so this will be going into our display case that's just outside the door there. It was really very beautiful. We took gifts as well, and each of us carried a box of ice wine with us. So we had enough to give out to the people that put a lot of effort into presentations, and the ambassador, of course, she was talking about the ice wine from Vineland Estates, and then, of course, didn't we just have a bottle for us? She was pretty happy. Okay, so now I have Councillor Pachariva and then Councillor Brunet.
Thank you, Your Worship. Now that our Active Transportation Committee has been formed and we have some membership, and Councillor Brunet is our chair and I'm the vice chair, we're eagerly anticipating our first meeting. I attended the Active Transportation Niagara Network meeting on October 27th, so There was representation from all around the region. We had a presentation from Ed Van Vliet, who's a member of the region's Active Transportation Subcommittee, on how to use Google Maps to create active transportation routes. So it was quite interesting. And also using a Google Map Maker to lay out these areas in your town that are active transportation friendly. Also linking up active transportation areas and providing those linkages in your own town, and then with it being on Google Maps, anyone can use it. I also, we had a roundtable where everyone went around and talked about what's happening in their town. I was pleased to report on our Active Transportation Committee, the things that we were doing. The fact that active transportation was an integral part in the Prudhom's visioning session. Committee was quite impressed with that. Some of the other areas in the region, the committees maybe aren't as vibrant. So they were looking on ways to become more active. But Councillor Beatty from Pelham said that he'll be putting together a couple motions planned for 2018 for a FTE for an active transportation coordinator position in the Public Works Department at the region. So this will be for trail development, and there'll also be a fund hopefully established with that that municipalities can draw upon to create their own active transportation trails and networks. So it was quite exciting, and was quite glad to be there, and look forward to our committee getting moving. And the big thing too was City of St. Catharines was there, and they were asking that everyone share their work plan. So one of the things that we need to develop is an active transportation work plan going forward.
That's so good to hear. I really appreciate the effort that councillors have put into this. It's moved along very well, and the enthusiasm from the community right from the beginning was it really was very significant. So I'm glad there's going to be they'll see some return on the investment of their time and the effort that they took to participate. That's great. Thank you very much, Councillor. And now I'm going to go back to Councillor Thompson.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Has jet lag, and
I had a moment there. Certainly, I'm still sort of recovering, but I omitted to thank Fabiola Prinz from Prinz Greenhouses, who was so generous to take us as a guide and a translator on our trip to Holland. Without Fabiola organizing and helping, certainly it wouldn't have been possible. So I really want to thank her, because it was amazing how she had things set out for us.
Yeah, she did a good job. She took our ideas and our goals and created a very, very progressive plan, and it was really well executed. And Councillor Brunet, you will have the last word.
Last but not least, thank you, Mayor Easton. So just echoing some of the sentiments that have already been around the horn. Thank you very much for the opportunity of laying the 2 wreaths on Sunday at the Cenotaph. It was under sunny and beautiful skies. Well attended. Had the opportunity to lay a wreath on behalf of Bill Hodgson in the region of Niagara, as well as you, Mayor Easton, and this council. It was well attended. Dean Allison was there. Sam Osterhoff was there. So it was very well attended, and great to recognize those that have come before us and paid the supreme sacrifice. Also to echo Councillor McMillan's comments on the Canada 150, just a wonderful job. Had the opportunity to travel to St. John's School today with, under the direction of Councillor McMillan and Beth Labrie and Lori Laird and Nancy C. Gianni, and as Councillor Timmers indicated, the students, the principals, and all the teachers just embraced it. So it was a great event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. All right, we'll move on now to, oh, by the way, if any of you haven't been here before, hello, John. We do this, this reporting at every meeting. It's a way for people who take the time to come out for whatever reason you're here to know what the councillors are up to. You may see them in certain environments, but you don't really get a sense of the variety of things that we're all exposed to. So we take this time. It's I don't rush the councillors. They have so much to report in terms of their commitment to the community. I think they need to have all the time that they need. Well, we'll move on now to delegations, and I'd like to call up Marianne Lapatan. Lapatan, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Come up.
I'm coming up with you.
And who did you bring with you, Marianne?
This is Dr. Ray Darchie.
Nice to see you all again. It's nice
Thanks,
to be
Ray,
here.
for joining us.
Thanks
So,
for inviting us too.
We have your report, but is it,
If you switch inputs, you'll be able to access.
okay.
So
And
everyone has
we
this-
try and, we certainly want to hear everything you have to say. 10 minutes is, that's the goal that we're looking for with this, so, and there may be questions as well. So please go ahead.
Thank you for inviting us. Marianne Lapatan is the Executive Director of the BIA. I'm a member. First, I want to give a shout out for this strategic plan. We was put together by several volunteers and with the facilitation of John Armstrong, who's here now. I want to thank him personally for doing that, because without him, I think it would have been a difficult process to do that. And we appreciate you donating your time and efforts for that. First, I want to say thanks again for inviting us. John actually brought in some important information for us, and he introduced us to the case for the place. It's got by Dr. Catherine Laughlin. And I think she's studied vibrant downtowns and successful downtowns, and she's been sort of an expert in the field. And one thing that she stated was that the more people love where they live, the higher the local economic growth of the place, and that makes sense. She had 3 important points for a successful downtown: a place with social offerings where a community can meet, a beautiful place, and a place that is welcoming. And that's our goal for downtown Beamsville. Got it. Now, our vision for our downtown is a destination where it's pedestrian-friendly, vibrant, beautiful destination, and a gathering place where the community can enjoy a thriving and successful businesses. Our mission at the BIA to facilitate this is to build an exceptional destination downtown where we're working together as businesses and groups and the community groups to strengthen and enhance our downtown area. Now, our vision for this, our guiding principles, at the BIA are threefold. We, as a business, if you invest your time in the BIA, we think it's an investment in your business, so we want to create value there. Secondly, we want to build an exceptional downtown by working together. Oh, are we off a bit? Sorry. By working together as a group, because we'll be more successful as groups than individuals. And lastly, Beamsville, we all agree, I think, is a better place with a thriving downtown center. Now, the pillars and foundation of what we believe and what we want to establish is we want to operate a sustainable, professional, and credible member-driven organization. We want to work with the town and community partners and stakeholders to plan a thriving downtown. We want to attract visitors, shoppers, and businesses to downtown Beamsville. And we want to be, as the BIA, the advocate for the needs of business in downtown Beamsville. Now, goals and actions. Now I'm going to pass this off to Marianne, who's going to be a little more specific how we're going to achieve these things.
Sure. So along with the pillars, we developed our goals and actions, and I'm presenting the high-level points that we have. So the first one is to operate a sustainable, professional, and credible member-driven organization. And there are 3 things that we want to do under that point. And first is to build a strong representative board of directors. We want to build and expand organizational capacity. And we also want to build a framework to become financially sustainable by 2019. For the second goal that we have, which is what we want to do, is work with the town and other partners to plan a thriving downtown. So the first point there is to identify the ongoing planning issues of downtown Beamsville. And the second one is to work with the town and the region other partners and stakeholders to deliver on the objectives of the Downtown Community Improvement Plan, which is what I understand the town put together. And there are the 8 points here, CIP initiatives. And from the 8 that were set out, there are 3 that we wanted to focus on for the next 2 years. And the first one is to lead and champion the development of iconic downtown entrances. The second is to champion traffic calming and pedestrian friendliness improvements at key intersections along King Street and Ontario Street. And the third is to champion the improvement of the Hickson Street parking lot to be in keeping with the Rainy Square lot and the entrance to Mountain Street. The third goal that we had is to attract visitors, shoppers, and businesses to downtown Beamsville. And under that goal is to establish a calendar of BIA-driven events. So we started the farmers market this year, and we want to continue that onwards. So that's one of the events. And promote and market downtown Beamsville to residents, tourists, and investors. And for the fourth goal that we have, to advocate for the needs of businesses in downtown Beamsville. We have 2 points under that, and that's to advocate for the issues important to downtown businesses and to develop and implement a member engagement strategy for the BIA. So once again, we just wanted to thank you for your time, for letting us present our strategic plan that we've put together for the next 5 years, and we hope to.
If you have any questions, please do so. You start the list.
Councillor McPherson, I'm going to give you the last word. All right, we're going to start. Councillor Brunei.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. First of all, thank you for coming. Hats off to you guys. You know, the farmers market, I think, was a huge success. I know it was just your first year, but I think you guys are well on the way to making that a destination for a lot of people, and it's something we really need. So, Councillor Patrieve and I recently met with a business group, and one of the things that they echoed to us, and I know you briefly touched on it, but I think you're underplaying it. I think this council needs to hear from an organization like the BIA. On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think? How important is parking and the parking issue in our downtown core to make this a successful launch on a scale of 1 to 10? I'd like to hear it.
My opinion would be probably 11. I mean, without parking, you're not going to attract the businesses that need the parking. Obviously, you need access to parking for businesses to be attractive, and anybody to look at downtown and to establish a restaurant or something that generates traffic and people coming through there needs to park. And if you don't have that access, like you've talked about Southside parking, I think that's an issue. And the Rainy Square, as we discussed, if we don't develop that, I think we're going to be at a standstill. It'll be difficult to achieve all our goals in terms of getting people down there and facilitating that. So I agree with you.
I think if you don't live in Beamsville and you're not going downtown, you don't understand how much of a problem it is. I just can't believe how difficult it is to get a parking spot in the downtown core right now.
People in Beamsville are avoiding downtown. You drive around downtown now because there's points in traffic that you can't get through downtown. It'll take you 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. Now people who aren't from here are used to that. Tolerated, but we go down Bartlett or we head down Lincoln or we head up around Queen and that just to avoid it. So we've got to get some traffic issues are important as well in terms of how we're getting traffic flow and things like that.
So you're talking traffic movement and parking.
And parking, yeah.
Right.
I applaud you for your efforts and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Councillor Timmers.
I really enjoyed reading through this today, and some of the detail that's been put into this is very, very good. I like all the different things that you spoke to in the report, you know, regarding the downtown entrances and the wayfinding, the public art piece. I found that very exciting, very interesting idea to have in our downtown. The tree planting, pedestrian friendly, just a lot of really, really good stuff in this report, and I was really impressed with it. The BIA calendar of events, I just wanted to ask if you currently have a calendar of events put together. Maybe you've been approached by the Canada 150.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So one of our goals under the events is to have 4 main events throughout the year, and one of them is the Canada 150 Homecoming Festival.
Homecoming Festival.
Yes.
Excellent.
So we're definitely, and the BIA is part of that planning process.
Very good. I found this is really exciting stuff, and it's about time, and I can't wait
It was
to
well
see
done.
where
I
it
think
goes.
Mary deserves some credit. She really put together a great report, and John's facilitation to get us there was important, so thank you.
Very,
Thank you
very well
much.
done, and I was fortunate enough actually to see Dr. Catherine Laughlin speak
Oh, yeah.
regarding placemaking and community building in 2015 at AMO, and I remember listening to her, and she had a lot of really good points that she made, and you've kind of, you know, I can see that through your report, and it's really,
Oh, thank
really
you.
good. Well done.
Thank you.
Councillor Thompson?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, through you. Just wanted to thank you guys for all your hard work. Certainly, it's a great deal of dedication to the business community, and that's where you're gonna see it flourish, I'm certain. I was pleased to see that in your report that your goal is to be financially self-sustainable by 2019. I think that's a very important factor, not because you're not always looking for money outside of the organization, but certainly it keeps a sort of a thread and a skin in the game situation from the members and the businesses. I'd also like to see the calendar events that you folks come up with integrated somehow with our town calendar, so that it's available to all the public in a number of places, so it gives you more exposure on it. So, and I assume that the Miracle on King is one of the 4 events that you referred to, and I look forward to seeing that flourishing ongoingly as well. So, thanks very much for coming in and sharing with us.
Thank you.
Councillor Njima?
Thank you, Mayor Easton. Yes, so we know that there's work to be done in the downtown, and we know that it doesn't just happen by itself. I don't think it does. Hasn't been happening. So it's great that you're putting all the work into it, and I'm inspired and I'm excited. We have. Last week, I went to a public information center from the planning department for a development that's proposed for the Mr. Convenience property there. Yeah. And today I know there's people going around talking downtown about how that's going to affect parking. Their proposal is to have 36 apartments with balconies and 16 parking spots. You want to comment on that?
Well, my comment is that it's going to put more pressure on the need for parking, probably the south side parking that's been discussed before, more than likely, because you're creating a fairly high-density structure if you're putting 5-unit, 36-unit apartments, and they're entering on Ontario Street. So you're going to have to deal with the issue of entering and exit the parking lot to Ontario Street to that an already congested area. Plus you have, I think you're short 20 parking spots. Where are you going to find the parking for those people?
I think
and are
we
they
should-
going to take up those things as well? So.
If you don't mind,
Yeah, I'm just-
Tony and Councillor, when that proposal comes forward at the Planning Committee, it would be a good time for the BIA to come and make their comments. Thank you very much.
That's a week Monday. That's a week Monday, by the way, Planning Committee.
Okay, is there anything else, Councillor?
No, thank you.
Councillor Foster and then Councillor Pachariva.
Okay, you slotted me in ahead of John. So a couple of things, just in reviewing the presentation. I too was interested in the self-funding. It'll be fascinating as you guys go down the road to keep us in the loop with that, because there are many methodologies of doing self-funding, and some can be detrimental to many organizations in the community versus other types of things as well. So, because there's only so much money that seems to go around for things as well. And I know you're kind of hamstrung. When I was on the BIA back years ago, it was even the discussion then is that you're hit with this taxation piece that really doesn't produce enough money to make the organization work as well as it can. So anyway, I'm looking forward to the discussions as you go down the road with that. Signage, which you had mentioned as well, is a big issue within the municipality. I think they thought I was nuts, but I was out the first day when we were over in Amsterdam taking pictures of all the signage that was within the area. I'm going to be handing that over to our Public Works and to Mr. Collis as well, just to sort of show what other areas are doing and how they're trying to do it. I also have photos from up in the Bruce County area as well, which are very good at showing what's going on municipality-wise with that, so I'm hoping to get that into your guys' hands. Curious about the one line, organizational capacity. So what do you guys mean by that, and where are you going with it?
If you, in the package that was included in the agenda, there are sub-points under the high-level points that we went over. So, sorry, I just have to. It was under number 1. Is that what you're referring to? The build and expand organizational capacity? Yeah, so we, some of the things that we had sub-points here is to develop a broad-based community structure based on key components of the plan and recruit volunteers to join committees. So this is about, in terms of the events, having the committees, subcommittees work with volunteers from the BIA members, from the community. So that's, to that point, the organizational capacity. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so the reason I asked is one of the key things that you've talked about within this is the partnering with other groups, et cetera. And I think that's going to be critically important. I'm on the board of 20 Valley Tourism. Councillor Regima is on the board of the Lincoln Chamber. And by the way, the Lincoln Chamber and the BIA used to have a really tight relationship. It kind of separated back a number of years ago, but again, there's room for building those relationships, and I think if you continue down the road with that, I think that'll be a good thing. Anyway, thank you.
We agree. We have a list of groups. We already discussed those partnerships as well. And one of the most important ones is with the town itself and you guys and council and your.
Councillor Pachuriva?
Worship, thanks for coming this evening. I just want to echo Councillor Brunet's comments on the farmers market. I think it was a home run. It was a dynamite setting, right mix of vendors there, just terrific. I like the fact, too, that you've actually taken some of the documents that the town's developed and are actually, trying to put them into action, leading and championing the development of an iconic downtown entrances into our town. That was part of the CIP plan that was done a couple years ago. Champion traffic calming and pedestrian-friendly improvements at the intersection of King and Ontario Street. That's part of our town's overall traffic study that we're doing and trying to slow traffic down. And I was at Towson University this weekend in Maryland, and they had dynamite crosswalks that had cobblestones, so it was the effect not only of saying that it was a crosswalk, but it was also raised. So the cobblestones raised up into the crosswalk, and it was hashed. So it was really identifiable, slowed traffic down, and it tied in. They used the same brick in the ground as they had on the building, so I think that's dynamite. Question with, and again, to, Councilor Bernays said, anyone that's been downtown Beamsville and trying to find a spot to park in the middle of the afternoon knows how problematic it is. And I thank you for identifying that on a scale of 1 to 10 and as an 11, because, we keep talking about Southside parking, and I understand I'm going to go to our CAO about a parking strategy. And also, two, wondering the rationale on the picking of the Hickson Street parking lot as one to focus on, kind of mimicking Ranny Square, wondering where you got to on that. And also, I understand, because we've been banging that drum about trying to institute a destination signage package, and I understand from the CAO that it's part of this year's operational budget. Don't want to steal any thunder, but we need the business community to be advocates. Without a strong representation, we had a misstep on Mountain Street where we failed to, bury those overhead wires because we didn't hear from the community. That was the response. Well, if the business community isn't here telling us what they want to see, then it won't happen. So I applaud you. I thank you. Keep up the momentum, and you can be the voice for the community, the business community, and tell us what we need to do and how we can help you.
Thank you. In terms of, I think there was talk of expanding the Hickson Street parking lot at some point, if I'm not mistaken.
I think, Mr. Darchie, that what you'll see is that the issue of parking,
I'm going to leave that alone because
the issue of the transportation and the movement of traffic, these are both very, very specialized areas. They need study. We need to have them in the budget, and we'll have to go out outside for that work to be done. So what we heard here tonight is there are enthusiastic councillors that are on this, and it'll come forward as part of the budget process.
Was there another part of that question, John? I can't remember.
We're not grandstanding, but I just, if our CEO can give us a
Well,
little
we
update.
appreciate the support. Thank you.
Mr. CAO.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just to make a few comments on I think what I heard, and let me start by saying that it's been great to have Mary Ann sitting kind of, within Town Hall. I think it's benefited us in terms of hearing some of your issues, and I think it's been beneficial for Mary Ann to be here and just to see how things are working. So I think that's a great opportunity. I think it's a great relationship, and kudos to Councillor McPherson for pushing me to make that happen. In terms of some of the items that Councillor Pachariva has mentioned, you will see in the 2017 budget that we've identified some monies to start a wayfinding signage program. So it's great to see that that's in your strategic plan, something that we'll be coming forward with. Likewise, some dollars for more traffic calming within the broader downtown precinct will also be in that. This Friday, I should be receiving a draft report of a parking strategy, at which time our Director of Planning, Director of Public Works, and myself will look at it. It does identify options in a phased approach for both the south side and the north side. So definitely want to be coming to you to talk about that and sharing that with council as we move forward. I think I heard another couple of comments around Hickson Street. That definitely is part of that strategy as well. We've looked at a couple of different properties, some that are more strategic than others, and again, looking at the downtown in its totality in terms of where we see expansion in a phase 1, 2, and 3 moving forward, and then we'll be putting budget dollars to that and bringing it forward to council. In terms of the design, I heard some mention of the proposal at Mr. Convenience and parking. We definitely want to ensure that the parking issue is addressed first and foremost before anything comes forward. The meeting next Monday is a public meeting to hear about comments. I think on the flip side, there's an opportunity for existing businesses when we look at 36 new units and those 36 units shopping in the downtown, working in the downtown. But absolutely, we need to get it right. We did meet with the developers this morning on that particular property. I think while there's a design and a rendering, I shared some of the comments that I heard that were relayed to me by a number of councillors around balconies and those sorts of things. They're definitely not married to any of that. They're willing to work, with the BIA. They're willing to work with all the stakeholders in order to address those needs. As well, I think some of the issues around height are all things that can be addressed, but parking first and foremost needs to be one of those issues that's addressed. So hopefully when we're able to bring forward this parking strategy, I think everyone will see that we've got a systematic approach to adding hundreds of new parking spots in the downtown.
If I had, I'll just say one more thing about parking. It's one of the concerns of the members is parking with that. But they would love to see the Mr. Convenience become something that's to be proud of and drive into and actually represent the community. And I think it'd be a great idea to have, 36 apartments or 36 condos or whatever they're going to be one day and out there, and shopping downtown would be fantastic. So if we can address that, that's fantastic.
Certainly gives it a kickstart, doesn't it?
Yeah, that would be definitely a better visual when you're driving into Beamsville than it
For
is
sure.
today.
We have Councillor McMillan and then Councillor McPherson.
Yeah, thanks very much, Madam Mayor, and thank you for being here this evening. Certainly, parking is a critical issue, but one that runs a really close second is the signage, and particularly residents' reaction to signage, particularly Ontario Street. Is there a way that we can balance the business need for that kind of signage with the aesthetics of the street and just the streetscape? Any suggestions on that?
I mean, I use examples of when I drive into Grimsby and their downtown signage, their gateway entrance, that type of signage it tells you that something's going on, that there's something's worth seeing there, that this is downtown Grimsby, we've got something to be proud of, come in and it invites you in, something to that effect when you drive into Niagara-on-the-Lake, the same type of thing when you're driving down the main area, the signage sort of invites you in there. And I think it's just a way to tell people that there's something worthwhile stopping for. So don't just drive through, look, this is downtown Beamsville, there's something here that to be seen. So that's what the signage says to me. And then you incorporate it aesthetically into the environment and the structures as well. And you put it, and try to make it aesthetically pleasing for everyone. I know there's issues in terms of getting stuff done with the region and things like that, but I'm sure we can overcome those things over time. So for me, I think it's an important component too. It's one of our top 3, I think it was, in terms of telling people you're driving through, visitors or people that are just coming by and say, oh, downtown Beamsville, there's a sign, oh, that's pretty, let's take a look around, type of thing. So.
Yeah, but I think that there are 2 elements to this whole issue of the signage, and you're addressing one, and the other one is the signage that is used for advertising, and advertising that, well, to be perfectly honest, is ugly in many cases, and it does not add anything to the aesthetics of driving down Ontario Street or any other part of the town where those kinds of things exist.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I agree to that. There is the signage that is necessary for the advertising, and also the type that you're referring to as well. Yeah.
I think that, I understand downtown and the big yellow directional signs that, I think downtown Beamsville, obviously we're not going to have that issue, that they're going to have those things, but I think we can have, the council can decide and determine in terms of what works best there and determine it through bylaws. I mean, there's certain restrictions for signs already that I think have to be adhered to, but if we can make them more aesthetically pleasing, I think that's achievable. And I don't like walking down a huge area where these big yellow signs are coming down. I don't think that's our goal. We want to sort of fit it into the environment as well. And hopefully, I mean, as the BIA, we can direct our members as, this is what we're looking to do, and this is if we can fit into that type of framework. I think that's important as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
When that time comes, definitely the BIA will be invited. It's the way we're working now. It's a good way to make sure that as the points are, the main points are in there, make sure they're in there, make sure they say what you want them to say.
Yeah.
We'll be doing that. Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'll try to be brief. First of all, a shout out to a couple people, certainly to Jennifer Turner and to Carol for the support that they've given us in putting this together. Jennifer has been there for the 2 years that we've been meeting. And at one time, it was Ray and Jennifer and I, and we went on for several months with that. And Carol joined us for the strategy, and the experience and expertise that she brought really helped us to put this all together. Obviously, this group hit on the highlights. The meat of the strategy is in your package, and there's a lot in there. There's an awful lot in there. And, I think that this speaks to this group being serious and having goals that we've set. It's not a strategy for the next 2 years. It's a longer-term strategy that we expect will move through the next term of council. There is an ask in the package that I think these guys have left to me now.
No, I was going to bring it up.
Oh, okay, but there is an ask in the package, so there is a budget that we are looking for support from the town on to help us to continue to build this organization and build the downtown. So look at that, please. And I think one of the important pieces that we have talked about often is the partnering between the BIA and the council and the town, in that, we are really trying to build out a vision for what downtown could be in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. And we need to work together to do that. We're not happy with the status quo. We know there are improvements that need to be made, and we're chipping away at it. But this is the first volley that we're now well organized. We've got momentum. We have got more members coming out to the meetings. They're coming out. It seems every month we get more that are interested. We're hearing on the street that the BIA is a vital organization again. And kudos to Marianne and all the work that she's done, and to the steering committee. Thank you.
Very good, Councillor. Thanks to everybody for their comments. Thank you very much. Marianne, I think, Councillor Manjima, did you have another comment?
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I wanted to say a bit to Councillor McPherson and what he's just brought up. For years, we've been talking about the downtown and what can we do about it. We don't know. And I think this is great that this organization is getting stronger and stronger. And I think the idea that we have to work together is very good. And I know that you clearly you need money to do that. And so I'm very supportive of the idea of investing money in that. And I think it's the answer. Thank you.
I mean, the goal is always to be self-sustaining eventually, hopefully by 2019, but to initiate this, we need to get some funding in terms of establishing this. And I think eventually we'll be fine in terms of developing programs and developing events that will sustain themselves and carry themselves over time. And but we're looking for the council, and we gave you a preliminary budget. It's not written in stone. It's based on ideas that we have. So,
Well, I think it's fair to tell you that what we'll be looking for, if this money is approved, we're definitely going to be looking for you to be measuring what you're doing and the impact, and you understand that. But that's, to make a short-term investment is one thing. To know where that money is going and the impact that it's having is another matter entirely, and that's where the return on investment is easy for us to justify.
yes, and much more detailed
And you
as we go
understand
forward.
that,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Well, you have tenacity, there's no question about it. I don't know how many times this BIA has been down on its knees, but you've managed to pull yourself up again, and you've done it in a way that makes an ask for a commitment from us, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. We're here to support the community and to make decisions that are in the best interest of the community. So thank you very much. And this is great. There's a plan here for the long term, and that's very good.
This
That's
is
what the
our
council
first
wants to see.
strategic plan, and I think we'll be back. We're going to make this a regular thing and keep you informed, because I think it's important that
That's great.
you know what we're doing, and we'll follow up with you.
That's great, and thanks, John, for the part that you had in it.
Oh, it was
It's,
great.
You pulled this together really quickly.
And
It's
I'd like to
very,
thank
very impressive.
Jennifer and
Yeah.
Carol and all the people. There's been some really dedicated
Good.
people to get this to this point. But
Okay,
thank
well,
you.
this will certainly be, it'll be referred to budget, and we'll carry on.
Thanks
Thank
very
you
much.
very much.
Thanks very
Thanks.
much, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, we have another delegation now. We have Mr. Rob Jansen. Rob, would you like to come forward? Mr. Jansen wants to share with us his, some comments around the budget survey, but we'll give him some latitude. We know that he keeps a close eye on these things.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Unfortunate, the few words I want to say, I keep it very brief, are not as upbeat as the previous speakers, which were very, very promising and were very, very positive. The word debt is not always well perceived and regrettable. Often it is talked about very easily, and we see that all around us. I do like to think that we have a very responsible council here in Lincoln, which gives good leadership, is prudent with our tax dollars, and gives good example to Lincoln residents. The survey, which I'm referring to in the article in the Lincoln Grimsby News, is it gives a mixed emotion. We have seen during many years that many Canadians here and across Canada are not very responsible. The reason why I'm saying this is that household debt levels keep rising because people keep spending far more than they can afford. Governments show the same spending behavior. Taking on more debt is justified in specific cases, done in a responsible manner. What is troubling, however, is that going in debt has become a trend among residents, and even more so with our 4 levels of government, with the province and the feds being the worst. It has become the new normal. Many young people have no or very little money management skills. They can't even add and subtract simple calculations without a computer. What are we teaching them? Beside personal financial hardship, debt is also responsible for heavy tax burdens governments is putting on their citizens, and service cuts when they try to balance their budgets. The survey article said 63% of the surveyed people support a tax increase without specific details. In response, I would like to ask 2 questions. How many residents did take part in the survey of the total population in Lincoln? And among what demographic of population was the survey held? Which would have a big impact on the responses that people gave. The lack of detail in the newspaper can easily give a distorted picture from the reality. Our roads, for instance, are a very much important issue to deal with. And when part of residents has problems with managing their household budgets, I find it problematic to follow advice given by these people. You are all aware that the financial distress among many Lincoln residents is growing. Community Care knows all about it. Especially the high monthly hydro bills are having a major impact on people's household budgets. Town services are important for residents, but with limited funds, they need to be prioritized and the tax burden needs to be minimized. And this is basically what I wanted to bring to your attention. And as a council, you have throughout the years done a great job. But often with the pressure to increase spending again, you start wondering, where do you put the boundaries? And responsible spending and going in debt, like businesses are dealing with all the time, is a must. A town should be run as a business. And that is a concern I had, and I just wanted to express this tonight. And I appreciate your time for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Just give me one moment. Did you have some? I've asked the CAO to give some explanation of the questionnaire.
Okay.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you, Mr. Jansen, for coming in. I mean, I can definitely share with you a copy of the survey that lays out in great detail the demographic, the number of people that took the survey, the validity of the questions, and how that was discovered. I don't have it pulled up actually in front of me here, but I can tell you about 120 residents took it. I sent council a very detailed email laying out the other methods of communication outside of online communication that we did. And so I will make sure that I endeavor to send that to you in the next 24 hours. It's difficult in a newspaper article, I think, to articulate sometimes with great detail for residents all the things that came out of that particular survey, but we can definitely have a conversation, and I can address any particular questions that you may have. I agree completely with you, and in terms of bringing this budget forward, we're going to look at prudent items that we need to share with council, things that we need to share with the community. We'll be very transparent and forthright in terms of, if the recommendation by our finance staff is to go into debt, to look at debt financing. Is that for capital projects that have a 30-year life cycle that should be paid for over that same life cycle, so that all taxpayers and all users, not just the ones of today, but the ones that will use those facilities, pay for them? But absolutely good comments. Let me share with you the survey in greater detail, and then I'm willing to answer any of the questions you may have or engage in a further conversation. So
Thank you.
And you're so close at hand. You can just walk across the lawn.
Now, can I ask you one other question?
Yes.
From the 120 people you talked about, 63% voted for tax increases. How representative is that from our complete Lincoln amount of residents?
Mr. CAO?
through you,
Weight do you put on that?
through you, Madam Mayor. So, I mean, when you look at surveys, and I recently, reached out to some of my other CAO colleagues, I think the way I look at surveys and the way I definitely communicate it to council is that they're meant to be snapshots to I think, gauge public opinion. There is a sort of scientific rationale to them. We can talk about, are they statistically valid? We can talk about all sorts of stuff like that. And again, I'll look at the demographics, and I can cut that demographic. I think that specific question was, would the community support an increase in their taxes to go to a dedicated issue around capital projects, specifically being roads? So they look at a potential special levy that is completely focused and completely allocated to roads. That had been something that I think councils over the years had asked staff to look at. A lot of municipalities are looking at very specific road work type levies where we increase taxes either by 0.5% or 1%, and specifically dedicate those to specific projects that residents are very keen on or residents are very aware of. I know one of the issues that this council had heard, and I think councils across the GTA, because I don't think we're an anomaly, have heard, is that roads are important, that infrastructure deficit is important, that we need to invest in it. So I think, staff's objective, finance staff's objective in asking that question was really around, would there be support to look at a special levy, which ultimately, you're right, would result in an increase in the capital tax rate that we look to approve in this particular budget, but one that would be specifically dedicated to specific infrastructure that we've heard over and over again as a priority.
It is so regrettable that residents don't seem to be concerned about spending overall. And that is the feel you get. You look around you, spend, spend, spend. You know, most of you, I'm sure, have been raised with by your father and mother with the idea, don't spend more than you can afford. That is the way I have been brought up. And lately, it seems all hands are off, and you go and go. And we see that provincially, federal, the region as well. And so far, I know you have been doing a great job. It's not an easy job. I wish more people were showing interest in what you are doing here, because it's affecting us all. And the sad part is, I don't know what the problem is, that apathy among people. Yeah, probably too much negatives all around us. And that is maybe what causes that apathy. But, you know, politics is affecting us all. And I find it very important to speak out, even on a little thing like this. Maybe it's not as little, but there's only very few people who are interested in it. And yeah, if you run a business, you know, then I say run a business. The town is a business, and that is how you run and properly a town as well. But I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jansen. I'll just if you don't mind, I'll just quickly ask if anyone has any questions of Mr. Jansen. No. All right. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you taking the time to come in.
You're welcome.
If we could only get a few more people interested, that would be an accomplishment. All right, councillors, we're moving on to correspondence, of which we have none this evening, and reports. We have the Council Business Planning Committee of the Whole minutes of October 24th. I have a motion moved by Councillor Foster, seconded by Councillor Thompson, that the minutes of the October 24th, 2016 Council Business Planning Committee of the Whole meeting, including the confidential addendum thereto, be adopted as circulated. Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. First of all, just want to apologize to Councillor Patrieva. Sometimes inside voice and outside voice come out a little bit weird. So anyway, we had a long meeting at this this business planning meeting. It's the second time since this council began that we went past 11 o'clock at night. So as my wife said, did you have a CRALT meeting tonight? And I think most of us from the previous council. It's, inside voice, outside voice again. Anyway, we had 5 public meetings concerning potential road closures, closures and sales. And that's an important part of that process, to get public input on the various potential road closures. It should be noted that Council, in all of those cases, has not made any decisions on whether or not that's going to happen, but it is important to get public input as decisions are being made with a lot of these areas. We had a correspondence report, and that goes through as per normal. We had a couple of items on it that we found interesting. 20 Valley Tourism came in with the request for the annual Winter Wine Fest. And we have to say that it's a community or municipally significant event, and that's required for licensing with the AGCO due to the fact that it's such a big outdoor event that goes on. The first report that we dealt with was the mixed use and residential intensification community improvement plan. Lots of discussion with that. We passed a big motion on that that basically says we're going down the road with this, and a number of conditions, etc., that we're planning on doing with it. Fire halls, there's new exhaust extraction systems going into the Beamsville and Vineland fire stations. Those are important because, well, first of all, we had approved it through last year's budget process, but secondly, health and safety concerns are quite important, and This is just improving even more within those fire halls, the exhaust systems that are taking care of the trucks that are there. We had a report from our clerk concerning municipal elections and potential changes that we could consider doing. Received that as information. We also had a discussion about the Netherlands delegation and what was going on with that. The probably the one that led to some interesting discussion was the rewards and compensation overview for council. And it's also, it ties in with senior staff as well. But anyway, the important thing on this one was the committee's recommending that the 1/3 tax-free allowance be dropped and the amount of money received by councillors adjusted accordingly. There's a number of reasons why the 1/3 tax-free has always been an interesting component of municipal politics, but it isn't particularly transparent, and so the discussion was around how to bring that into line. So our CAO was able to bring us a report as to what can be done with that. Jordan Historical Museum Gateway Project information. Again, we had a report providing some updates for us on that. And then our CAO stepped us into the budget overview and the capital introduction for 2017. Outside of that, we did have a fairly significant closed session as well to talk about a variety of issues within the municipality. It included solicitor-client privilege, education and training of our members, acquisition of land or disposition of land, and also a personnel matter that we were working with. That was it. It was a long meeting. We got through an awful lot of stuff, and I think it accomplished what it is that we try to do with that committee, and that is get a full discussion on these issues of importance to the municipality. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Councillor. And any questions to the minutes? Your pleasure on the motion. The motion is carried. We move on now to item number 14, confirmation of compliance, which we have none this evening. And we move on to bylaws. I have a motion moved by Councillor Timmers, seconded by Councillor Brunet, that leave be given to introduce the following bylaws. Number 2016-72, a bylaw to designate the mixed-use and residential intensification area as a community improvement project area. Number 26-73, a bylaw to adopt a mixed-use and residential intensification community improvement plan. Are there any questions to the motion, to the bylaws? Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since I was in objection to these during the Council of the Whole meeting, and the reasons for that, and I won't get into all the detail because we were all there, but that I was in agreement with the intensification in the corridors and the intensification in Prudhome's, but I was not in agreement with intensification and or DCs and tax incentives in outside an intensification corridor. So that being the case, and to be consistent with the Council of the Whole meeting, I'm requesting a recorded vote on this particular bylaw.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. All right, that being the case, Mr. Clerk.
A recorded vote was requested on the leave to introduce the bylaws. I will proceed in alphabetical order, and if you could please indicate yay or nay. Councillor Brunet? Yay. Councillor Foster?
Yay.
Councillor McMillan?
Yay.
Councillor McPherson?
Nay.
Councillor Pachriva?
Yay.
Councillor Rinkjima? Yay. Councillor Thompson?
Yay.
Councillor Timmers?
Yay.
Mayor Easton.
Yay.
And if you'd like to call the vote or the results.
The vote is carried. I have a motion moved by Councillor Brunet and seconded by Councillor Timmers that bylaws number 2016-72, number 2016-73 read a first time, be now read a second and third time and finally passed, and that the mayor and clerk sign and seal the said bylaw. Your pleasure on the motion? The motion is carried. Are there any councillor inquiries? Councillor Foster.
Actually, a question to you that you could take back to the region as your role within, as you didn't do a regional councillor's report. I was going to ask this earlier. I've had a number of people coming to me about the exit off of Bartlett Road onto the North Service Road. The region, when they designed that particular intersection, I think had certain things in mind. And perhaps a light was the thing that they had been thinking about when that originally was to be done. That intersection is, first of all, I use it every day when I'm going to work, and I've got used to it. I know how to fish up, and I'm sure Councillor Patchery, but you use that one all the time as well. But it's a dangerous intersection, and I think Niagara Region, I believe at one point in time, had suggested they were going to do a lighting system. So could you ask for us back through to the region what their intention is to do with that, and then we can have a discussion at Public Works somewhere along the line. Even though it's in the town of Grimsby, you know, we really need to be pushing these guys for that one. I mean, it's all about road safety, and simply put, somebody's going to get clocked there, and I hope to not be one of them. So anyway, thank you.
Councillor, would you consider a motion to that effect, which we could circulate to Grimsby as well?
Sure. We could do that at the Public Works Committee, I would think. I think that would be the appropriate spot if you want to do that. So
I think that'll take it through the channels in a very formal way. It'll go, I think it's better if we have a motion.
yeah, and I think the big thing was to just figure out with the region what they had initially planned, because my understanding when that was first being built, it was to be lighted, and it doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon. So
to you, Councillor Pachariva, would you be prepared to take that forward and ask the question of Mr. Graham, maybe help us with some language, and we can bring that forward through Public Works?
Through you, Your Worship, certainly, because as Councillor Foster said, there's a blind spot there that you sit and you look to the east and you look to the west, and then you go, and about 3 times I've almost been clipped, and it's where did that car come from? It came out of nowhere, and as we're on this too, and I spoke to Mr. Graham about this, we received an email from a resident, about the new GO bus stop at the Park and Ride on Ontario Street, and the resident's daughter walks there sometimes, and
yes.
And I told him about that the province is going to construct a shelter there, but I think the onus is on us to formalize some type of walkway. Either we've got the crossing, and I spoke to Mr. Graham about this. We've got the crossing at the South Service Road with the crosswalk. I don't think we should be bringing them along the South Service Road on that curve. It's very dark. Maybe take them up the bridge and then down with a walkway of some sort to the GO bus area. So I think the province has facilitated this stop, and I think it's our part now to create a safe environment for our residents to actually get there. So talk to Mr. Graham about that, and we can deal with that at the budget as well.
Mr. CAO, you'll shepherd that through. Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a great idea. I happen to be at that corner tonight, and you add rain and dark and lights coming at you at a fairly high speed, and it's hard to judge how quickly cars can get on you. So great idea.
Okay, very good. We'll do that. Is there anybody else? Councillor Brunei?
Thank you, Mary Easton. Just a comment, I will certainly table it at our next Regional Transportation Steering Committee, speak to Commissioner Tripp, and bring it to their attention as well to echo Councillor Foster's sentiments.
Okay, it looks like there's 2 matters now, so we just need to get our, if you just follow up the CAO, make sure we've got our language and our locations and everything, all the detail, that would be great. Anybody else? All right, let's move on then to notice of motion. Anyone? Any announcements? Mr. CAO?
Through you, Madam Mayor, William just reminded me, and I know I think Councillor Timmers was going to highlight it, that there's a giveaway this Saturday for tulips for residents. I don't recall the time right now because I don't have it in front of me, but
Councillor Timmers is going to.
Councillor Timmers can help me out.
Thank you, Mary Easton. Yes, I had 2 announcements, actually. I was going to speak to that. This Saturday, November 12th, we are giving away tulip bulbs, and it's going to be set up like a drive-through down here at the Town Hall, and it's from 12 till 2. You just need to provide proof of residence, and you will receive a bag of tulip bulbs, 1 per household, and it's first come, first serve. And I have one other announcement as well. Friday, November 11th, is the Beazle Firefighters Association Annual Turkey Roll, and that is going to be at the Fire Hall, and it starts at 7:30, and I will be there hoping to win a turkey.
Very good. Mr. Edwards, did you get all that? Okay, very good. Anybody else? All right, Mr. Clerk. I have a motion moved by Councillor McPherson, seconded by Councillor Benjima, that council adjourn to closed session in order to address personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, matters pertaining to municipal employees. Any questions? No? Your pleasure. Motion's carried. All right.
We're staying here.
We're excusing everyone, and the rest of us are staying here. Thank you for your attendance.